Yeah.
What's up out there, social media family? I'm Chris. It's Conversations with Chris. You know, I do these things once in a while, no rhyme, no reason, no plan, because that's how I like to operate. But I'm excited for today's conversation because we have someone that I've known for a long time. We've been friends for a long time, and that is Rafael Reyes. So for those of you that don't know, this man has been in the banking industry since 2007. He's a real estate investor, a serial entrepreneur, lived through multiple market cycles, not just talked about them. So that's awesome. And he's a new recent grandpa on top of having 3 daughters, right? So all that stuff, man, all that stuff that you've got going on. So tell me what's going on in your world, man.
Good, man. Can't complain, Chris. Thanks for having me. Actually, my daughter just called me. She calls me every morning with a FaceTime with my granddaughter. So thanks for the morning intro.
I love that, man. Being a grandpa, that's awesome. But I mean, so before you were a grandpa, you got into the banking world, right? So 2007.
Yep.
So you've seen boom and bust and panic and reinvention. So right after that, we had that 2008 kind of permanently changed about how we deal with mortgages and money and risk. So what and going through that, how did it change the way that you see the finance world?
It's funny. When I got into the business, like 3 months later, the market crashed. We owned the restaurant in downtown Brooklyn,
Your team.
right across from BAM, and I'm like, I've never been in the restaurant business in my life, but I love the location. It was more of a real estate deal because I felt like if I had got the long-term lease with everything that was going on in downtown Brooklyn, that we'd get bought out. But I said, how hard is it to run a little restaurant? And little did I know that it was, hats off to all the restaurant owners out there. It's a tough business. It's definitely tough. So long story short, I see, come across a buddy, he's doing mortgages, making a ton of money. And I said, you know what? I'm done with the restaurant business. Closed, gave away all the food to the church, gave whatever we had in the cash register to all the employees, and said, look, I can't do this anymore. I'm just miserable. So I get in the business. This guy's making a ton of money. Long story short, my first day in the business, I'm walking into the parking lot, Mercedes-Benzes and BMWs all throughout the parking lot. I'm like, holy shit. I felt like the world just blew right by me in the 2 years that I was in the restaurant. And I go in and I ask questions. All right, how do you do this, right? And they're like, well, you just ask questions and you fill out this quick thing called the 1003. So I said, all right, cool. So I'm seeing these mortgage payments and I'm like, $4,000 mortgage? I'm like, holy smokes, like who could pay this? Like literally, I felt like the world just passed me by in those 2 years. I said, people are making this type of money to be able to afford a $4,000 mortgage. So they were like, no, they don't have to afford it. You just write in their income. And I'm like, what do you mean write in their income? They're like, yeah, they can make $10,000. I said, they make $10,000 a month? And they're like, no, you don't have to prove it. You don't have to show pay stubs. So then I'm like, shit. I'm like, all right. So I'm like, how is this going to happen? And they don't have to put any money down, 100% financing? Yeah. I'm like, this is bizarre. Like, how do banks lend this money to people? Long story short, I should have shorted every single bank stock Once I saw that, because I would probably be a multi-millionaire right now. I did not, obviously, and the market crashed. So industry got cleaned out. It was actually a good thing, right? Because there was
Mm.
definitely saturation of loan officers and realtors and everything. And to be honest with you, the only way I learned how to do mortgages is through verifying income, through verifying assets. So I wasn't into this habit or behavior of it being so easy to just,
Mhm.
you know, more.
Y'all
That
that
was
stated income stuff, 100% financing. That was crazy time.
God.
I
Oh
got
my,
into sales at the end of 2000, into 2001 there, beginning of 2002. And it was, yeah, all these like, wait a second, how's a custodial engineer from a high school going to be able to buy a house for $800,000 living in the basement, stating their income? It was a crazy thing.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So how is having three daughters, right? So three daughters and you're a recent grandpa. I'm sure that's changed the way that you think about time, leverage, and like what's actually worth building. So how has that powered you through all these years to kind of stay the course and build what you have?
Yeah, I mean that's my core motivation, my daughters, and now my granddaughter. I had my
You're good at
26 year
producing
old.
you're good at producing ladies. Yeah, I've got that thing too.
Yeah, yeah, it's crazy, but um, yeah, I mean, I had my first daughter. She's 26 now, at a very young age. It's tough, obviously, and then my two other ones, I have a 17-year-old and a 16-year-old. So I learned a lot with the 26-year-old, right? They're 9 years apart, and I promised myself that I was always there for my 26-year-old. Don't get me wrong, but I promised myself that based upon what I learned with her, that I would obviously do it differently with my other two.
Sure.
So that's my core motivation, man. I mean, we sacrifice tremendously for them. Uh, you know, Send them to a great school, great educators. Um, Obviously, time is limited because women have needs, right? Girls have needs; they're more needy, and again, it's my core motivation. So um, I'm nothing. I want to give them everything. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of like my mindset.
Yeah, we're talking about the other day how sometimes too it makes you never satisfied because man, if it was up to us, we'd be watching Netflix, drinking beer, hanging out at the beach. I mean, I know that's for me. So like if we went back and met that 2007 version of you, the 2007 Rafael, what advice would that guy ignore that you now know is obvious?
What advice would that guy ignore?
Yeah,
Okay, that's a great question, Chris.
2007, the guy that knows everything.
Yeah, I mean, I was fearless back then, right? When you're young, like you can take risks, right?
You mean like opening up a restaurant with no
Yeah,
background?
exactly, with no experience, right? uh, yeah, when you're young, you just kind of fearless, and that's one of the things. Actually, going back to my daughters, that I never had that guidance. You know what I mean? Like I didn't have a father that said, "Hey, don't do this." My mom was obviously, didn't have experience, so um, I learned the hard way. And obviously, when you learn the hard way, you take your lumps. And one of the things I always tell my daughters is listen, learn from me. Like I've already made basically every mistake you could possibly make, um, and it'll save you a ton of time, you know. And and when you're saying what I would ignore, I would just take my shots. You know what I mean? Because I didn't have anything. I didn't have a blueprint. I had the guidance around me to be able to give me the advice that I needed. I kind of, like I said, learned the hard way. But these are the lessons that you learn. You know what I mean? Like,
Sure.
Pain is the perfect teacher. You know, and that's kind of like all I got to really say
Yeah,
about
well,
that.
you're learning from your own pain or someone else's, right? And I think the smart people sometimes learn from other people's pains. So you've got, I mean, fast forward, you're a banker, an investor, an entrepreneur. Which one of those identities would you say caused you the most friction internally?
Internally, it's a good question. You got good questions, bro. uh, Listen, I mean, obviously, I'm a family man, but when you say yes to one thing, you're saying no to something else, right?
Sure.
So if you want to kind of, do the best for your family, there's going to be sacrifices at play,
Mhm.
right? So like, I see this as like short-term pain for long-term gain in many ways. But unfortunately, you miss certain things, right? Like you're constantly rushing, you're thinking about what's next. You may not be as present as you'd like to be, and that's the one internal conflict that I constantly have. And Fab, her, she's constantly like, dude, you don't stop. And I'm like,
And every
yeah,
time you're like, yeah, we got to do that. Yeah, man, I'm going to be 50. You said you're going to be 50. And man, we got to make this happen. I said, man, you've been making it happen since I met you. That's just kind of like a recurring theme. But I think you've made a shift somewhere along the way from thinking like a loan officer or, a loan officer or a banker to someone that's like a system builder. I mean, can you think of a moment along the way where you stopped thinking like a loan officer and started thinking like a systems builder?
Yeah, I mean that happened last year, dude. Actually, I've always thought about systems. Like I'm infatuated with business books, and I read a lot. And I also like to study guys that have built major things, and I'm like, damn, man, like how did that guy do that? And the last year, because got very comfortable, So the last year, like my production is probably the worst year I've had, because I made a commitment to trying to build something that will outlive me and provide opportunities for other people, right? And at some point, hopefully, step away from the day-to-day, uh, you know, rely more on the system than myself. Although I love people and my clients, I love to smother them. I'm always there for them. Obviously, that has an impact on the quality of life. So last year I made a sacrifice and I said, look, I'm gonna not be as aggressive as I've normally been. I'm gonna build a system that's gonna help a lot of people. It's education based, and there's no commitment from the client, quote unquote client or lead or prospect to work with us, but we'll give them the information that they may not know to help make better decisions. And those are the systems that we're building now.
So tell us about that venture. What's your vision for it? What do you got going on?
I mean, look, artificial intelligence obviously is a game changer. I think, like, obviously, the writing's on the wall for a lot of us. So, the question is, how do we find ways to bring more value to the marketplace, right? And that's ultimately, it's a process, right? Like sometimes people just don't know what they don't know, and what was your question?
Like what you're building here, this thing. Because the new business that you're building, you're very excited about it.
Oh yeah, I mean, like I said, it's something that'll basically outlive me and hopefully provide opportunities for others and help more people. There's only but so much we can do in a day. And what I realized this year also is that you need good people. Like in reading a lot of different business books, talent is the key piece to growing an enterprise. You know what I mean? And we all get complacent, right? Like, we've done well in this business. It's been good, but is this all we're gonna do? You know what I'm saying? So if you don't take your shots, you'll never know what's possible. You know what I mean? So real estate's such a fragmented business where even someone's personal financial well-being, like their attorneys over here, their financial planners over there, their realtor, they find them on Zillow. Their loan officer is maybe referred from the realtor, or maybe it's not. So there's like no communication, no cohesiveness with this individual's biggest investment, and I think that should change, and that's kind of like the type of boutique style shop that I'd love to create, where everybody with the left hand knows what the right hand is doing, right? Everybody's collaborating for the well-being, for the long-term well-being of this one person. And a lot of people don't know that. They don't know the impact of one little decision.
That's where you're seeing. That's where you're seeing the pain. That they're seeing a hole in it. You're seeing a hole in the industry, and now with the rise of AI, where people are having machines and software do a lot of the heavy lifting for them, you're seeing a need for an increased level of human connection and customer service.
Yeah, and the thing is that AI makes it a lot easier now, right? Sure. Like stuff would have taken a long time to create, and now obviously it's a lot easier to build, but it still needs that personal touch, right?
Yeah.
Like AI doesn't know feeling; it doesn't have a feeling yet, so you really need to create
I like
that
how
way.
you said, yeah. It's an interesting thing it's kind of counterintuitive to think that uh, AI could potentially be the thing that lets a human being connect with other human beings on a higher level more frequently, deeper relationships, and that it's a non-human thing that's going to help us do it. Because a lot of that thinking is, well, AI is going to replace all this human interaction. What if it's really just going to make it better and improve that, right? So, I mean, we've got you. I mean, so you're talking about building something that's going to live beyond you. So
The hope.
if your business had to survive for without you for 90 days, right? What do you think would break first?
Yeah, that's the problem. That's the eye opener. I don't think it can, you
Yeah.
know? And then that's like we're not really entrepreneurs, we're not really business owners. If you can't step away from your business, you
Yeah.
you basically have a job, you know?
Yeah.
So that was an eye opener. And that's why I committed,
That's
to
awesome. Well,
trying
yeah,
to
it's
figure something
looking for
out.
the right people. Yeah, it's some of us, we want to get into business for ourselves, and then we do it for the freedom, the flexibility. The sky is the limit, and then by accident, we actually create a prison for ourselves. We create
Good
a
point.
job that's we create. It could be a high paying job, but you created a job for yourself. So we're talking about that right side of the cash flow quadrant there, right, where you can have a business that operates without you, and then ultimately being able to put that money into other businesses.
100%.
Yeah. So, like, what part of the business looked real simple on paper, but became the real bottleneck
In what, the mortgage industry or?
in all of them? So, do you find it's always the same? Do you find it's always the same thing? Are you always getting stuck or having bottlenecks? I mean, you mentioned finding talent, right? Has that been the biggest kind of bottleneck? Just getting to a point where you're ready to explode, and not having the right people, or not being able to go about finding the right people.
Yeah, I think, yeah. I mean, listen, it's hard to find, you know, uh, this business is tough. That's the hardest part, right? Like if you've been a processor, you've probably been a processor for 15 years, 20 years, right? Like you're comfortable in what you're doing. Um, you like the steady salary, you just crank out files, right? You get them to closing. The role that I think this industry desperately needs is more junior loan officers, right? Guys who are young that have sales ability, but also have the ability to learn how to underwrite risk, right? Underwrite a file, and communicate complex things in layman's terms to someone who's looking to get a mortgage. You know what I mean? So the
Yeah.
communication skills are very important. You can't tell someone DTI. They're like, what the hell is DTI? Right? Like, so that's what I think this industry desperately needs is more like junior loan officers. That segue between the guy who's the loan officer, who's obviously generating the leads in the business, and the processor. You know what I mean? That bridge. You have to. The one thing that this industry sometimes doesn't do very well is, both realtors and loan officers is anticipate problems. And I'm gonna be honest with myself. Like sometimes you want to squeeze a file through, and you may not anticipate an issue until it actually hits you, right? Because the guidelines are this thick. You know what I mean? And that's something that I think could lead to a better buying experience. Especially in New York.
There's a lot of, there's a lot of fog. There's a lot of fog and misconception stuff out there about the mortgage industry right now. I mean, I saw it was a few days ago. I saw a video. That's, like why I reached out to you. It's like, I was like, hey man, let's see what Rafael's up to. You posted a video about breaking down mortgage affordability and what it actually means for buyers right now. So when you zoom out, how is that changing the kinds of conversations you're having with buyers, sellers, agents, and families today?
Like you said, fog is the right word. Everybody lives in kind of like their own little bubble. these days, right? Like whatever social media targets you with, whatever messaging it is because they know you like it, you relate to it, and then ultimately that's what people believe, which is kind of scary, right? That's what I think is creating this fragmentation in society because people just are living in their bubbles, right? But they're facts, right? And two things could be right at the same time, like I don't know what video you're referring to, but if it was, institutional buyers of single family homes,
Yeah.
that was the video you're referring to?
Well, there's, I was, were you talking about that it's in that video that actually, that doesn't really even account for, we talked about that that's more of a political move than something that's actually
Yeah. So, okay, that was it. Yeah. So yeah, institutional, look, hedge funds, Wall Street, guys make money. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, they did scoop up a bunch of single family homes. I would love to see the deeds of all these homes that they own. They haven't really purchased that many homes recently. So in reality, that's not really what's causing the affordability problem. It makes for a great headline, don't get me wrong, but that's not the problem with affordability. The affordability problem is that people just aren't selling, right? We're not building enough, right? The zoning laws are way too challenging, okay? Trying to get something done in New York City, I mean, you can't get a deal to pencil out. If you want to build out in the suburbs, there's strict density requirements. So like we need to build more homes, and then the majority of people that would sell are locked into a 3% interest rate. So their mortgage payment is gonna go up 60% if they sell and move somewhere else. So the problem is literally inventory. These hedge funds that own 1% of the single family homes throughout the country, that's not really gonna impact values. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It really doesn't. So again, it makes for great headlines, but
yeah,
it's very low.
Yeah, I know. How do you feel about like that 50-year mortgage stuff, right? Just there's all kinds of ways to try to make buyers have lower payments, but it's I'll take 100-year mortgage. For me, it doesn't matter. I can always pay it off sooner, So it's people are like, oh, that's ridiculous. Why would somebody ever get a 50-year mortgage? Well, you can still pay it off in 20 or 30 years if you want.
100%.
Is that helping home affordability?
I mean, it saves you a couple $100, right, a month on average, depending on how big the loan is. Again, I don't think that is a major needle mover. I don't think so. I think I would take the lowest payment possible, but I think you can accomplish the same thing.
Yeah.
With a 50-year mortgage, if you did an ARM, right? If we created some products that are an ARM, your payment might be lower than a 50-year mortgage, right? The problem with the 50-year mortgage in many ways is that people get this 50-year thing. I'm going to be 100 years old when I'm paying off this house. And that mentality just that's not the fact. I mean, you know that, right? People sell, move, most of the equity you're building these days when you initially buy a house is with just natural appreciation because very little goes towards your principal anyway. So, really, it could be helpful. I mean, but I think the problem is deeper than that. Again, great headlines, but I think that's problems.
I know with our house here in Wellington, the interest rate's less than 3%. It's house is probably worth around 1.2. Mortgage balance is like 400 and change, right? And this is one of those situations where we're actually looking at like, what if we wanted to sell and move right now? So we own property with owner financing. That's been a great deal for us. All these kind of creative financing things. So even, what do you think there's going to be a role with mortgage loan officers in helping buyers structure these creative deals? Is there going to be a place for it? Because, for example, if we wanted to sell right now, we would take a down payment. We wouldn't pay off our mortgage. We would hold our mortgage and we would owner finance it to the new buyer. Because if we've got less than 3%, we can owner finance it to a new buyer at 6%, right? Take a down payment, keep paying our mortgage, and have a balloon payment at the end. And that would be, that's kind of like the golden goose opportunity.
Yeah,
so
that's what it is. I think instead of these 50-year mortgages, I think that if we could put language because FHA loans are assumable, right?
Exactly.
Meaning that if you
You can assign it
qualify,
to a new
you can
buyer.
assume somebody's FHA loan. Okay.
Yep.
Now the issue with that is that what happens to, let's say the house is worth $1 million, like yours, but you had an FHA loan and you owed 500. That FHA buyer would have to come with a bag of $500,000 for you. How is he going to get that money, right? So ultimately, if we found a way to create a creative second mortgage that would sit behind that first FHA at 3% and find a way to get affordable second lien financing where you can get your money as a seller, they can buy your home, that may inspire you to move. You follow what I'm saying? Does it solve the affordability problem? We really don't know, but we know for sure that you don't want to get rid of that 3% mortgage. That we know for sure. You know what I'm saying? Because you're not how much are you gonna upgrade your situation by giving your $1 million house? You're gonna probably buy a $1.5 million house, right? Like you're gonna want to upgrade in some way, right? So that's kind of like the problem. I mean, I come up with these radical ideas, and
but I think it's great. I think well, I mean, it's I try to think of this stuff like as it comes out of nothing, right? So from nothing, there's a lot less loans happening, but with the knowledge and background that you guys have in the banking industry, are there ways to put these things together to provide a new service in helping people structure these deals with what's existing? Because I mean, there's a lot of houses with equity. There's a lot of houses that don't want to get rid of that first loan, so we can't even get, and the lines of credit and the equity loans, those interest rates are too high. So it's like, do you refinance everything to pull cash out, or you pull out an equity loan and all these working parts? And it's a lot of it doesn't make sense. And that's, there's an inventory problem. People aren't selling. They're staying where they are to take advantage of these things. And there's, people aren't able to afford. I mean, down here in Florida, everybody ran from the Northeast. I got stuck down here during COVID, and prices just shot up, man. People used to say Florida is such an affordable place to live, but the mortgages and the taxes and insurance, it's, our insurance is $2,000 a month, something crazy, something like that.
Holy shit! Insurance has gone through the roof, man. I mean, that's a problem. Yeah,
everybody lying about everybody wanted a new roof,
Yeah, it's all economics, bro.
That's what happens. Yeah, but that's there's so much that going on out there. But so what are you seeing overall for because we talked about you and I were talking, like the shift of wealth that's about to happen in this country, what's going on there, and all the data you have around that. What do you see the state of real estate in the next 5 years based on those observations?
I mean, look, you have, the demographics, like speak to this big time. I mean, you have, I think I'm not sure, don't quote me on this, but I think you have like 10,000 people in America turning 80 every day.
Okay.
Right. So like, again, I don't have, but that's chat GPT it, But I mean, that's a staggering number. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think that, the baby boomers, I think these newer generations, like we don't have, they've created a tremendous amount of wealth. I think, and you can see a lot of companies positioning themselves to bring value to this major wealth transfer. I think that there will be opportunity if you skate to where the kind of puck is going. I think a lot of these folks are going to need help.
Yeah.
The baby boomers are probably the hardest working pocket of our population throughout their life, right? And I mean, I think if you position yourself in a way that you can help the recipients of this wealth transfer and simplify things, I think you should do well. So that's why we're just kind of like trying to navigate, those waters.
Is that, the need for that? Is that why you're kind of putting in place this this kind of one-stop shop to be able to help people with that process? I mean, when you talk about probate probate's
But
emotion.
you got financial planners, right? Like financial planners are huge with this because now, the financial planners are like, I think, if they can find a way to create these relationships, because the financial planner for the baby boomers obviously older. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Because that's when they create. So now, if you have these young financial planners who are dynamic, who have great ideas, who understand crypto, who understand these small caps, right? The amount of wealth that could be generated from that boomer down to his children is staggering. I mean,
Mhm.
I can only imagine. So it's pretty interesting.
It's yeah, it certainly is, and I think it is an uncomfortable thing, and it's slow for most people. But so, why did you choose to lean into that instead of chasing shinier lead sources?
Like I said, man, I'm really just trying to create systems. You know, find a pocket of real estate that people really genuinely appreciate how you're helping them. It's not the easiest transaction, but like I mentioned to you before, I mean, I think you can make a great living doing it, and you can
Mhm.
help a lot of people with a very confusing process.
Yeah,
You know?
that's like a
Uh,
recurring theme. You're just helping people. So,
yeah, and it's just like, and there's a lot of possible referral opportunities there, right? Again, a financial planner piece,
Mhm.
contractors who may need to button these things up, clean out. You know what I mean? There's a lot of different referral opportunities. And even if the family wants to keep the real estate, right?
Mhm.
As mortgage guys, we create creative financing opportunities to help them keep that asset in the family if that's what they wish to do, right? A lot of
Mhm.
these people have reverse mortgages, right? People are very people hate reverse mortgages when when that parent or that grandparent took a reverse. It's because they may have needed it, right? They needed the financial flexibility, and now the child is left with having to navigate this bank that has a reverse on the home, and they think they lost the home, which is not the case. They just need to know how to navigate that conversation with the loan servicer, right? They need to
Mhm.
understand their timelines, right? Um, and that's where a lot of the confusion comes in.
Well, it sounds like there's an education opportunity there, and I know you kind of you generate a lot of these people, these leads or people interested that look for your help up through educating them. It's it's and that's cool what you're doing, right? So think about um, think about being in this business. What it's not really it's not you're not just generating leads, you're kind of nurturing people through a legal and emotional process. What surprised you the most about that once you were actually in it and kind of talking to these people and getting your hands dirty in that business?
People are angry.
It's so it's more angry than confused, or
Yeah, I mean, it takes a while because you gotta understand, like, a lot of these people, obviously, they're emotional. They're probably getting a ton of calls, and the trust level in society is like at a all-time low, right? So here you are, like trying to say, hey man, like I'm genuinely trying to help you. Don't get me wrong, like we're not a nonprofit, but I'm confident that we're gonna bring more value than anyone else that you may be speaking to, right? I'm fairly confident, and our intentions are genuinely to help you
Hmm.
get to the finish line here and to get to your objectives in the easiest possible way, in a transparent way. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? There's
Yeah.
a lot of people out there who abuse a lack of knowledge, and that's why we created this stuff. And whether you consume our info and go somewhere else, fantastic. But
Hmm. At
like,
least you know. Well, it's noble.
at least
So
you know what I'm
if
saying?
you're if your family never worked another day because of what you built here, what would you still choose to build anyway?
From your lips to God's ears. But I would want my girls to get shit done. You know what I'm saying? To get after what they love to do. What was the question again, man? You have these really deep
What
questions
do
that
you
require a
like?
lot
What
of
would
thought.
you if money wasn't an issue and you built? Yeah, I mean, you built this. You built something that just was the legacy that went on without you. Nobody had to work again. What would you do? What would you still choose to build if you didn't need to for financial purposes?
I would just love to go to a place where people actually like. I mean, there's so much unfortunate stuff that take place around the world, dude. So people don't have water, basic things that we take for granted, food.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I would probably choose to do something like that. Like,
so you're feeling tugged in that altruistic direction.
Yeah, something that, I mean, just again, dude, there's so many injustices, you know what I mean? At that point, like, if you have everything, what's the point of, you know what I'm saying? Like,
you kind of feel like a social responsibility too at that point, right? You're like, man, I feel like, I've been blessed with all this. What can I do to change the world?
There's a lot of bad stuff that's out there, man. It'd be great to see that change.
Yeah, and I know I got a buddy that's walking across Africa showing people how to dig wells.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
I mean, if you have the resources to do something like that, and get water to a town or a village of people who have to travel up mountains to get water and walk down with buckets of water on their head. You know what I'm saying? Like, why not try to fix that with so much like wealth out there? Like,
yeah.
Why don't we try to do something to help these folks? Like, it's a human thing type of to do,
I know, it's crazy. I heard somewhere that like U2 has given more money away than given more money away just by selling T-shirts for charity. U2, the band.
Okay.
Something about they're selling T-shirts, for charity, and that the money that they raised by selling T-shirts was more than like the top 3 wealthiest countries in the world, or something crazy like that. And it's just some people, an example of some people doing something. Hey, can we do can I give you can we do a rapid fire round, and then we'll round this thing out? Rapid fire. I'm gonna throw some things out there. Five questions.
Yep.
And you just let's hear the sincere, transparent Rafael response. Ready?
I don't know any other way.
All right. So what's harder, starting or stopping?
Starting.
Most dangerous, speed or comfort?
Dangerous?
What's more dangerous?
Comfort.
So what's the most underrated skill in business?
It's a good one. Underrated skill in business. Can I pass on that one? I gotta think about that.
What's the most overrated advice in real estate or finance?
Overrated
advice.
It's a good one too. Damn, Chris, you're getting stumpers over here. Overrated advice in real estate and finance.
Something you hear all the time is played out, and you're like, oh man.
Pass.
How about this? Last one. Okay, one habit you'll never give up again.
Damn, good one too. What habit I'll never give up again? I don't know, man. These are good questions.
Yeah, man, that's what we do. So, I just want to, I want to ask you a couple more things, and then is there anything I'm not asking you that you think's like super, super important? Like, if you're gonna, like, what's the truth about business or money that you believe now, after going through everything that you've gone through, that might have offended you in the past?
I think at the end of the day, look, it's sometimes we have glorified jobs. Like we feel like, we underestimate the importance of having great people around you. You know what I mean? And that's why, I reached out to you the other day, and, reached out to a few other people. Like, that's the fun part of all of this. And I'm not sure if I'm asking you the right question, but like, if you have a great team, like, you can really build great things.
So it's like the truth about business is that it sounds like you're saying the truth about business that you believe now is that no one succeeds alone.
Exactly.
But maybe, was there a time in your life where you thought, if it's to be, it's up to me? Like, I got to do this myself. And I mean, did that change over your tenure in business and to where you've got to this point where you're very team oriented and
A
believe in
hundred
those
percent,
two
a
things?
hundred percent. You know, that's a big thing. I mean, again, just being able to make a good living, right? Like you kind of neglect all that, and then you become comfortable. That's why I said comfortable is very dangerous, and complacent. And then when you have shifts and things like that, like you kind of caught on your heels, and but if you had that mentality from the beginning of creating, being a little different, approaching things a little differently, being, because in my business, for example, what they say, go talk to realtors, go that, you know what I mean? And then it's a funny stat that we looked at the other day, like last year, like I think 60% of realtors, according to NAR, like didn't even close one transaction.
Yeah, a
You
lot
know?
of people have licenses that don't really use them, right? It's like just
Yeah. And then
yep.
like, so it's weird. So it's like, so I just, you have to kind of like, with me personally, I'm just trying to figure out a way to do it differently. I'm just want to, like, that's my thing last year, is my thing this year, do it differently, find a way to go right to the consumer, bring as much value as possible, and hopefully the message resonates,
Hmm?
and you're able to help people. You know what I mean?
Awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, it's you're doing it. I know you feel like we got to do this, but you are doing it. Let me I got one more for you. Like if someone sees this, right, or right now they feel behind, someone watching this feels behind. What do they misunderstand about long games? I mean, you've been doing this a while.
Yeah. It's about consistency, man. It really is. I mean, consistency, I can't say how important that is. And I walked into the office today, and routines are boring, right? It's nothing exciting about routines, but routines actually are the key piece to winning, you know. And I like my morning routine. I mean, my morning routine, right? Like I get up early. I like to do certain things, but then outside of that, you kind of start to just
Hmm.
bend to the whims of the day, you know.
Sure.
But I really, every day I'm just trying to be consistent, right, and taking little steps towards what the goals are. And I
So,
think if you could do that, you know, you'll turn around and then you'll start to see how much you accomplish.
yeah,
But
yeah,
it's
you're
hard, dude. You get a
thank
lot of distractions. There's a lot of distractions.
You're not kidding, man. We live in a world of distractions, and don't we love distractions? But that's one thing that I've seen in you two over the years. I mean, consistency and staying the course and powering through the failures. I think something in there that people don't. There's like consistency sounds easy when you're winning all the time and everything's going your way. It's the consistency and staying the course when you're getting your bumps and bruises, like you mentioned, powering through that stuff, and just knowing, having the faith that on the other side of this, it's going to work. But I mean, I'm sure through your consistency, you found a lot of ways that didn't work.
And that's also good too. You know what I mean? Like, something that doesn't work, that means you're getting closer to the answer. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of like what I believe. I mean, that didn't work. Sometimes it's just a little tweak. You
That's
never
right.
know. You
Just
know?
little adjustments. Well, that didn't work. That didn't work. People don't realize that. They only see when things work. Wow, look what's going on here. Oh, it's easy. I love when someone says, "Oh, it's easy for you to say," and I'm like, "Wait a second. I can say that because I went through what I went through.
Hmm.
Are you willing to go through what I went through to get to where I am?" So I was. People always laugh at me, and they're like, "Oh, that's easy for you to say," and I'm like, "Hey, was that easy for you to say when I got locked out of my apartment, when I got my when I got my car towed?" And people are like, "Oh, that never happened to you," and I'm like, "Yeah, I had a IRS levy on my bank account for 70 something $1,000, and I'm like, yeah, that's real." That's real. But what caused these things to happen is because you're saying yes to things, saying no to other things, and staying the course. What makes somebody want to stay the course? And that's the journey of an entrepreneur. I think really, it's like you're just your vision is so strong, you're willing to power through those painful moments and stay that course, man, through the rough stuff. It's easy. It's easy to be a rock star when you're on stage, but it's not easy to be a rock star when you're living in a basement eating ramen noodle, saying no to a regular job so that you can have that opportunity to be a rock star, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Any other parting words of advice from the genius brain of Rafael Reyes?
Far from genius, dude. I'm flattered, but far from genius. I mean, like the fact is, dude, that I look up to you. I think that you're an excellent motivator. I've seen the growth. I think that anyone that has is lucky enough to get around you. It's and I was there with you, dude. So I've seen the growth, and I congratulate you on that. I commend you on that. I'm always gonna wish you the best.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Um,
I appreciate that. As a young leader, you came to me and you said, look, you've been in a mortgage business a long time, and that your wife was going to get licensed, and you trusted us to take her on and show her the ropes, and the rest is history, right? So, yeah, that means a lot. But thanks for jumping on and spending time with us today. And you're pretty easy to get in touch with. So if anybody sees this and wants to reach out to you, you're connected on social media. You're everywhere. You'll always see us. So look out for Rafael's videos, and we'll see everybody out there in the virtual world. Keep being awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, man. Thanks, Chris. Appreciate it, brother.
Yeah, of
Later.
course.
Bye.